Welcome to a brand new episode and a brand new season of the Innsbrooke Fantasy Podcast. I'm your host, Sean Bell, back and better than ever, back and new, and back in black. Now, first and foremost, you're going to see a little bit of a new setup here. We're changing things around here. We're making things a little bit more efficient. Let me show you a few things real quick. We got a ticker. You see the ticker at the bottom? Yeah, we have a ticker now that can have breaking news and all types of information scrolling across the screen. We also have new logos, new setup, all types of new things. You guys like the logos? If you don't like them, don't tell me because I created them for the league. I figured we needed to step away from, the old basic NFL logo. Let's do our own. So the Innsbrooke gang officially has its own logos. We are moving on up in this world of fantasy football and fantasy football podcast. Now, before we get started too much, I think it would be, disrespectful if we did not mention our champion from last year. Yes, our champion, your 2023-2024 NFL football season, fantasy football champion for the Innsbrooke gang, Jonathan Freebus, a.k.a. the Meme Machine. He went through the most impeccable things to get to this part, and all the memes that he had posted and all the crazy things he had done finally paid off in the end as he beat Joel in the championship. I was really pulling for Joel. Main reason is because I helped draft his team, and I wanted to go back-to-back with this drafting team and being there. But guess what? Freebus earned it. Freebus deserved it. Kudos to you, my friend. We're proud of you. Now, let's see if you can repeat that thing. Now, before we get going too much, I have a little bit of breaking news to include ourselves. The Innsbrooke Fantasy Football Podcast is officially sponsored. Yes, this is not just one of those BS sponsorships. This is a real sponsorship brought to you and sponsored by none other than me because I got these type of connections. But we officially have a sponsorship by Underdog Fantasy Sports. Yes, you can download Underdog Fantasy Sports today and claim your special pick and up to $250 for your first deposit offer. Underdog Fantasy Sports has lots of things that you can place on entries, from more or less with total bases, or more or less total yards, or more or less total points. There's lots of different things that you can do on their app. It's very fun. Go over there today. If you sign up, you'll see a description link at the bottom of this video, and it'll give you all the things. It'll give you the link to click. Use promo code COACH, and then you will get all this stuff when you sign up. Please sign up if you're watching this. It looks good on us. It makes the podcast look great. It's a special offer that we have, and we're hoping that we can blow this up and keep this partnership going. Shout out to Underdog. Yes, they've given me some free merch as well. Great people over there. Like I said, check the description below in this YouTube video, and you'll get some perks by signing up with that link today. Now, let's get into what everybody has been waiting for all summer and since the season is over. The draft order. Now, Mr. Ken has sent me some special video that I'm going to show here, and that tells you the draft order. Now, as you guys know how Mr. Ken does the draft, he does it NBA lottery style. He puts all the balls in the little spinner thing. It randomizes, it orders it, and that's how we decide who picks where. Now, I have the video. I'm going to share this video screen by screen with you. We'll talk and break this down later, but here we go. Let's jump into this live action as we...
Good Super Bowl day. This is, okay, gentlemen, this is for next year's first pick. Here's the bottom feeders, the four that went from 16 to 13. And this is the orders, and you can see the balls out at the side in the order they finished. So we're going to submit that. We'll come over here. Patty's in the room.
Hi, guys. This is real.
So the first pick for next year will be Lauren. Second pick will be LB. Third pick will be Jake. And the fourth pick will be Hunter. I think this is the first year that it's actually gone in order. So give me a second, and I'll do the next 12 in order.
First year it's gone in order. Impressive.
Okay, guys, this is the next 12 in the order that they finished. Tyler being the regular season champ. So we're going to do this in the order that the weighted balls do in the NBA. So the first pick for the fifth pick for next year will be Samson, Tyler, myself, Greg, Logan, Zach, Wood, Taylor, Eric, Joel, Phoebus, and Pon. So there's your order from number 5 to 16 for next year. Hope everybody has a good Super Bowl day. Patty's here.
Yeah, let the madness begin.
See you later, guys. Have a good day.
All right, you heard it from the man, Mr. Ken himself. He hopes everyone has a great, great day. He is elated about this season as commish. He is ready to put all the conspiracy theories behind him that Eric Wallen has tried to conspire, and he just dropped the draft order for you guys. Now, let's talk about this draft order a little bit, and let's dig deep into this. Below, you see the draft order is kind of scrolling across the screen for those of you that may have missed it. You got number 1 pick overall, Lauren. You know, nobody knows what Lauren's going to do. He's a little bit of a wild card. Is he playing? Is he not? Is he here? Is he there? Is he over there? I'm not trying to sound like a Dr. Seuss book, but this is what it is. You know, Lauren does some things at this pick that could be crazy. And you know, they call him crazy. But, you know, Lauren did trade Justin Jefferson at the end of the season last year towards the trade deadline, which I thought was crazy. But he looked to really, you know, bolster that running back room. But number 1 overall pick goes to the worst team in the league, our stand-up comedian, Lauren. Number 2 is LB, another wild card early in the draft. It makes you wonder, you know, could. It makes you think, would. And it makes you really think, should. We don't know what LB is going to do ever. I mean, Cam Akers is available. Could. We don't know. It's always questionable what LB does. I'm sure he's already in the lab cooking up, whipping up what he's going to do. I'm sure whatever he does, he'll have a good explanation for. Your next pick, Mr. AI. I'll be curious to see if he does this. Jake, number 3 overall pick. I'll be curious if he goes with the AI route again. You know, at first the AI was like, okay, doing some things. And then when it gets down to the depth, you know, Jake had way too many of some things and way too less of others. It'll be curious to see how Jake does with this draft this year. Maybe he doesn't use AI. Maybe he uses a different AI. Maybe he cheats on the robot he used last year and puts on a new robot. Who knows? Lots of good robots out there. Don't know. All I know is Jake better decide what he wants to do, because this draft, it's going to be crucial for my guy. It's going to be crucial. And number 4, rounding out the top 4, or as Mr. Ken like to call them, the bottom feeders, whatever that means. We have Hunter Wallen at 4. You know, Hunter had a roller coaster of a season last year. You never knew what you're going to get with the guy. At times he made splashes. At times he made dribbles. And we're not talking about Samson and his high dribble. We're just talking about dribbles of water here, you know, versus splashes. But Hunter actually told me, we went golfing a couple months ago together, and Hunter told me he had a plan. He said he laid it out to me. He has a plan to come in and execute this season. He knows how to get back on top and be a top 4 team in the league. And he said he's going to do that first by taking out his brother. And then after he takes out his brother, he said everything will be great. So we'll see what Hunter has up his sleeve. Now, the next few picks, I think 5 through 9 are the sweet spots in the draft. I think if you get picks 5 through 9, you're in a sweet spot. You're not in that weird, I pick 1, so I got to wait a while, or that I pick 16 and I got to wait a while. I'm in the middle, so I'm kind of consistent with where I pick. So these 5 through 9 picks right here, I think are I would call them the golden nugget picks, the ones that you want to have. You're kind of in a crispy spot. So, of course, number 5 is Samson, of all people. You know, I love that guy. He's all right to me. But 5, just like his quarterback number, AR, I'm curious of what he's going to do at that position. And I may have just spoiled it for everybody. But number 5 for Samson, it'll be interesting to see how he unfolds his plans and goes into this season. There's a lot to be drafted. Number 6, as Mr. Ken said, an honorary mention. And no free shout-outs, but he got a free shout-out. Tyler Campbell with the regular season champ. You know, that regular season champ is just about as significant as a bubble championship for some. You know, it's really not that important. You know, congrats, you won the regular season, but then you lost in the playoffs when it matters. You know, it's kind of like our Riverdale football team. Yeah, I said it. That's our alma mater. We had to go there. But anyways, you know, Tyler's at 6. It'll be interesting to see what Tyler does there. Tyler's always got a plan. He's an architect. He's got a plan. He's cooking up something in the kitchen. I don't know what it is. We may call him Nico for now because he's up there trying to land as Klay Thompson already. At 7, you know, there might be some conspiracy theories about, you know, lucky number 7 going to Mr. Ken. But Mr. Ken got lucky number 7, you know, and he always finds his way at the top. And that, you know, we'll debunk those theories now. You heard Miss Patty was in the background with the draft, making sure Mr. Ken kept a straight line, walked a straight path, and didn't do anything crazy to behind scenes. He was a good commissioner. You never know. Maybe Miss Patty is, you know, Jill Biden. Maybe she's the one behind the scenes actually doing all the work. Maybe she's the one that's the actual problem. Maybe she's the one we need to look at. You know, Eric, maybe we need to investigate Miss Patty. Maybe she's the one that's been tarnishing your name this whole time. We don't know, Eric. It's good for you to look into. I'm team Mr. Ken. So number 8, Greg. You know, Greg's first full year in the league last year. Came in, you know, kind of middle of the road, did his part, did his thing, got his toes wet, did what he needed to do at number 8 with his draft pick. It's a good spot to be right in the middle. He's going to pick consistent, and I like that. Number 9, Mr. Let Me Down himself, Logan, with the number 9 pick overall. This guy last year, man, I had him preseason All-American. I had him winning it all. I had him being the dog of the fight. And instead, he turned into the underdog of every week. Like, what is that crap? I mean, dude let me down in so many ways. Just unreal, you know, embarrassed me on this first full season of podcasting for Innsbrooke. And, you know, it made me wonder, is he really a good friend or not? We may never know. Number 10, we got Zach there. Zach's kind of a sneaky, quiet guy in the mix, I think, as well as number 11 with Wood. Both kind of sneaky, quiet. They got something up their sleeve, maybe always. We'll be curious to see how they draft this year, see what they do. Number 12 is Taylor. Taylor is definitely in a spot this year where it's a little bit tougher to draft. Something about Taylor, though, you know, I hope that he drafts better this year than I saw him get out of a sand trap over at the dunes today. I'm just saying, I was on FaceTime and I saw my man building sandcastles out there. I hope he brought his sunscreen. He was struggling to get out of that sand at Old Bandit, but he eventually did, and maybe he'll eventually win a championship. Again, one day. Probably not. Anyways, number 13 is Mr. Conspiracy Theorist himself. Our co-candidate for running the league one day. Our campaigner. Our little ginger menace. Eric Wallen at 13. Now, Eric's always got a plan. Whether it's good, bad, ugly, he's got a plan. What will that plan be? We'll have to wait and find out. But last year he drafted in a dress. And according to some, he was a smoke show. At number 14, my guy Joel. You know, Joel was one win away from being crowned the champion of this league. One win away. And he came up one win short. But Joel said, not this year. Not so fast, my friends. Texas is in the SEC, and I'm coming back to win a championship this year, and we're going to do great things, and that's the bottom line because Joel said so. Hope that's true, Joel. We'll have to see. At number 15, sneaking up one spot, not getting that last pick, you got Freebus, the defending, the reigning defending, undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, Jonathan Freebus at 15. Yeah, I should do your intro for every game. And then 16, unfortunate landing spot for my guy, Pon. Pon's got a deep team. You know, I like Pon's team. I think Pon's got a team that's kind of sneaky good. I don't think they get the credit that they deserve year in and year out. You can already count on him to draft 10,000 receivers. He's going to be set there. So, Pon, I'm going to be curious what you do with these first 2 picks in the last. You know, it's make or break. Those first 2 picks at 16 and turning around at 17 got to be crispy, my guy. They got to be crispy. But that is the draft order right there. Shout out to Mr. Ken for sending the video over of the order. Shout out to Miss Patty for being our Miss Vanna White in that situation. It's always great to see where people are going to draft and where things are going to land prior to getting into this, and it gives us a little bit of an arguing talking point as we go into things. But it's great to see where everybody's landed. You know, we'll have to see. Can 16 win? Does 1 win? Those are hard picks to do in a deep draft like this, but it'll be very good to see what happens in the long term. This next segment that we're going to do is called Fears and Tiers. What I've done is we have a tier system brought to you by PFF, Pro Football Focus. Okay, so we have this tier system brought to you by them. And what we're going to do is we're going to go through 4 different tiers of players for keepers. Okay, we're going to rank the keepers by 4 tiers. And, you know, not every player is going to be listed and some are going to be questionable. It's all pure judgment call of what you think is a keeper. But I'm using the Pro Football Focus one, and that's what we're going to say. So fears and tiers. Let's get into this segment right now. We're going to start with tier 1. You'll see them scrolling across the bottom of the screen on the ticker. Tier 1 consists of number 1 at Justin Jefferson. Obvious reasons. Now, it'll be questionable to see what he does this year. He's got a new quarterback at the helm. Is it going to be Sam Darnold? Is it going to be JJ? I don't know. It'll be kind of crazy to see what goes on with all of that. But, you know, it's still Justin Jefferson. The dude's a freak. The dude can do a lot of things that most people can't. And he just got the bag. So Jay Jetta's number 1. You got to keep the guy. Number 2, maybe a little bias in there. For me, I am a Cowboys fan. CeeDee Lamb. I think CeeDee Lamb is elite. I think he is a young tier 2 or tier 1 number. I would almost say 1B to Justin Jefferson. He's going to put up numbers. He's the main guy in Dallas. He's going to get the targets. You know he's going to touch the ball a lot. They're going to find ways to get him the ball, even in the short yardage, in the deep game. I like CD a lot. I think the only reason that he's ahead of number 3 is Jamar Chase. You know, you got the Burrow injuries coming back from. Jamar's been a little banged up. It's a new offense, new head coach. We'll kind of have to see what goes and triggers there. But I really think Jamar Chase is still number 3 as far as the tier of keepers. I think he's one that'll really continue to do stuff. As long as he's got Joey B there, you know, Burr, man, you can't be afraid of it. At number 4, you got Amon-Ra St. Brown, who at any point at any time could be ranked anywhere in this top 5. I mean, he is insane. He's such a little guy that plays like he's 6'5", and he does impressive things. He's going to get the ball in the run game. He's going to get the ball in the quick game. He's going to get the ball in the deep game. He's going to get the ball in the mediocre game. He's going to get the ball, period. Amon-Ra St. Brown is definitely a top-tier keeper, and he will be kept, I promise you. And number 5 is Bijan Robinson. Now, Bijan, you know, got a little spooked with some people last year just because of the system that he was in. Wasn't being used a lot. There was a lot of questionable things that took place throughout the season with him. Everybody had them head scratching and wondering. Honestly, I think he's part of the reason that Arthur Smith doesn't have a job anymore. You can't use one of the best players that college football had. He's proven flashes of just absolute athleticism and skill. They ruined him. What is mind-blowing about this league is that Justin Jefferson and Bijan Robinson were on the same roster, and Lauren decided to trade Justin Jefferson away. That blows my mind. He's got 2 keepers that are elite, top tier 1 keepers, and he decided to get rid of one of them. Words can't explain. Words can't explain. I get what he's thinking, I guess, in a way, but in another, man, Bijan and Justin for years to come would have been insane. Now, we move on to our next tier, tier 2, okay? We have our tier 2 rankings here. Our tier 2 rankings. Now, this is where things start to get a little controversial, you could say. You don't know, some guys can land some places between tier 2, 3, and 4. It's all, personal preference, but there's a lot of things that we'll kind of break down here. Now, your number 6 overall is Breece Hall. Breece's pieces, man. Let's think about this. There's a lot of things that Breece did last year with the lack of talent around him, from a banged-up O-line to no quarterback, that just was amazing. Now, imagine that with Aaron Rodgers. Imagine that with Garrett Wilson. Imagine that with Mike Williams. Imagine that with the rookies they've drafted. Imagine that with all the other pieces they've surrounded this offseason. I think Breece has a breakout year. He's going to be a great keeper for somebody. Number 7, now this is a stretch, but also you got to think. You can't really keep him, but he's going to be one of those guys that gets drafted and kept for sure. Marvin Harrison Jr. at 7. He's one of those people that do you consider, drafting him first, and that way your future is set. I think he's one of those type of talents. Number 7, Marvin Harrison Jr. 8, Garrett Wilson. Same as Breece Hall. 9, Jahmyr Gibbs. This guy does it all. Pass game, run game, all the game. Jahmyr Gibbs is it. 10, A.J. Brown. I'll be curious to see how A.J. Brown does this season. Kellen Moore going there. They're going to have a lot of weird schemes. Offensive coordinator, Kellen Moore now. It'll be wild to see what happens. Do they still – it can't get no worse than last year with their offense. That was abysmal. But A.J. still put up numbers. So it'll be curious to see what he does with Kellen. I'm not a fan of Kellen Moore personally. Had him in Dallas. He does too many things. He overdoes it sometimes. He doesn't keep it simple at times. But A.J. Brown's still A.J. Brown. Let's face it. If he can put up numbers in Tennessee, he can put up numbers anywhere. Your next one is Christian McCaffrey at 11. The only reason I think he's 11 and he's in tier 2 and not tier 1 is just based off age. He's had a string of injuries at times. Not since he's been in San Francisco, really. He's had 1 or 2 little nicks and bruises, but nothing crazy. But he's tier 2 just because of age. That's it. And number 12, one of our breakout rookies, Puka Nacua. Man, what a season that guy had. Just an absolute stud. Puka's going to be a guy that goes on and does a lot of things for a lot of years, in my opinion. As we move on, let's talk about tier 3 guys. We'll kind of fly through some of these for the sake of everybody and having to listen to me ramble. But for tier 3 guys, we've got 13, Jonathan Taylor, 14, Malik Neighbors, another rookie that's going to pop up. Obviously, there's no keeper on him yet, but could be in the future with how you draft. 15, Tyreek Hill. 16, Travis Etienne. 17, Chris Olave. 18, Sam Laporta. 19, Jalen Waddle. 20, Devon Achane. 21, Drake London. Now, out of all those, the one I'm the least fan of, I don't know why. I have mixed reviews on Achane right now. I'm a big Jalen Wright fan. I'll say that much. And they just drafted Jalen Wright down there too. They got Raheem Mostert, Jalen Wright, and Achane down there. That's going to be a busy backfield. You know what Mike McDaniels did in San Francisco before CMC, how they rotated backs like crazy. I see another situation happening like that. So I get a little spooked about Achane a little bit here and there. But also, they're deep. They've got Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, OBJ. They've got players everywhere. So that'll be interesting to see what happens in the Miami Dolphins offense. And your last tier we'll discuss on air is tier 4 rankings. We've got 22, Brandon Ayuk. Is he getting traded? That's a factor here. Is he getting traded? We need to know what's happening with Brandon Ayuk. I think in the end, Ayuk he either signs for 1 year and finishes this season or excuse me, sorry. Or he gets traded to Washington or Pittsburgh. Washington's probably him and Jaden Daniels got something going for each other. I don't know what it is. I know they love each other like best friends, but I think that's where his mind's set. I think that's where he wants to be. He wants to be with Jaden Daniels. You can tell. 23, Josh Allen. Y'all know how I feel about that man. Not a fan. 24, Devontae Smith. 25, Saquon Barkley. 26, Michael Pittman. 27, Patrick Mahomes. 28, DJ Moore. 29, Rome Odunes. 30, DK Metcalf. And 31, Kyron Williams. Honestly, in my honest opinion here, I'd probably put Kenneth Walker in there over Kyron Williams. I like Kyron, but Kyron had surgery. Apparently, he's having some struggles recovering from it. We'll see what happens. But yeah, those are your top 4 tiers right there. Okay, that's your top 4 tiers. We'll kind of have to see how that goes. If it goes good, if it goes bad, we'll have to see what it does, and we'll have to see how it goes. But yeah, so that is our tier system there. Now, let's get into the more pressing issues that you guys are wondering. Now, you guys all know the draft date is Saturday, August 24th, 2024, at Mr. Ken and Miss Patty's house. Okay, we're going back there. It's not a destination year. You guys know where we'll be. That's it. Draft time starts at noon. Make sure you're there. Make sure you're on time. Don't be late. Be great. Now, we'll have some special things there this year. I'm going to try to do some podcast stuff there, have some interviews live with you guys between scenes, have the mic set up, do different things like that. If you guys are interested in being a part of that, please, by all means, let's make this thing as fun as possible. That's all the goal. But speaking of draft dates, there's more information that needs to come out about this. Okay, so we have the draft that is definitely happening on August 24th, but 2 weeks prior to that, Saturday, August 3rd at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time, all keepers must be turned in. Okay, you get to pick 2. They got to be turned into Mr. Ken 2 weeks before the draft. I don't want to hear no excuses. All keepers must be turned in 2 weeks before the draft. Understand? Make it great. Make it happen. If you don't turn your keepers in, you know what happens. You know what happens. You miss out. You miss out. That's just that. That's just that. Actually, I lied, guys, because I am an idiot. 2 weeks is actually not. 2 weeks is not the 3rd. What am I thinking? Oh, you know why I put the 3rd? I apologize. So the 3rd, my kids are going to private school this year. And see, I'm allowed to make errors. I'm on air. I'm allowed to make errors too. No, my kids are going to private school and they have open house on that day. That is the thinking process there. 2 weeks is actually August 10th. I apologize. Forgive me for that little on-air gaffe. Mr. Ken will probably tell you to. He'll remind you. But here it is, a fixing of my error that I made. I'm allowed to make errors. Like I said, I'm recording this in live time, so it happens. But there it is. Boom. You see it? All keepers must be turned in 2 weeks before the draft. 2 keepers turned into Mr. Ken by Saturday, August 10th at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. Whew. Not even going to edit it out because I feel like you guys need to see the real me at times. But yeah, so make sure you get your keepers in by August 10th, okay? August 10th. Last bit of house cleaning, okay? League fees. We need to talk about league fees. There's a few different things with this. League fees are due no later than the day of the draft. So before we start drafting, league fees got to be turned in. No questions. You can Venmo Mr. Ken before if you want. You can send him money as you're watching this if you'd like. The league fees are $100. However, due to the new trophy that we're adding, okay, league fees will be $120 this season to compensate the new hardware. Guys, please make sure you pitch into Mr. Ken for this. He does a lot for the league that, may go unseen and underappreciated at times. I know all of us say thank you and we're appreciative, but there's a lot that goes into this, and that makes this thing keep rolling the way it does. I've even sent Mr. Ken money. I'm technically not even in the league, and I even sent him money for the trophy just for you guys. So make sure you guys get that stuff over to him ASAP to keep this thing smooth operating, okay? The next line of controversy to talk about. We have the punishment controversy and punishment for the new season. All right. So this is going to come up. We have a controversy for the punishment. It has not happened yet. Okay. We haven't had our stand-up show, and I'm needing it. I'm needing some stand-up comedy. But also, you guys need to start brainstorming some ideas for some punishments to bring to the table. I don't know if it's going to come up in the group chat or whatever soon, but bring some punishments to the table that are worthy, that people will do, that are fun, that are quirky, that things not self-harming or harming others. Just make sure it's something that is within means that people will do. But at the same time, come up with some cool ideas that we can do for a punishment this season. There's a lot of different things and aspects that go into play with this that I think could be fun. There was an idea mentioned before I was on air, possibly that could be a punishment. We'll see. Nothing reminds me anything better than when Eric Wallen's in a dress. That was just what a smoke show. What a smoke show. But yeah, so that is this episode. I'm not going to keep you too long. That is this episode's Innsbrooke Fantasy Podcast. There's a lot to cover coming up. Draft, teams, keepers. We're going to talk about that. We'll dissect. We'll do a keepers episode here in the next week or two, talking about who everybody should keep before and kind of a breakdown of what I think of the league. Once again, shout out to Innsbrook's sponsor, Underdog Fantasy Sports. Make sure you get on that. Hey, I love you guys. Thank y'all for tuning in to this. It's going to be a fun season.